On July 8, 2008, my 22-year-old daughter, Alice Swanson, was run over and killed by a garbage truck while riding her bicycle to work. She was in a bike lane. She had a green light. She was wearing a helmet. It was not enough. No charges were ever brought against the driver of the truck, not even a failure to yield right-of-way citation. Even more disturbing was the bias of the detective on the case, Cheryl Harley. In late July, Detective Harley told us she had not completed the investigation as she was still trying to understand why Alice was in the driver's blind side and why Alice didn't see the driver's turn signal. I was bothered by this conversation. The truck driver was in the vehicle lane, Alice was in the bicycle lane, and as a driver, I knew that neither having a blind spot nor turning on my directional signal gave me the right of way to change lanes when another vehicle was in the adjacent lane. When I called Detective Harley, she reiterated that Alice was in the driver's blind spot. I said if the driver had a blind spot, it was his responsibility to wait and make sure the spot was clear before making his turn. She responded, "How long is he supposed to wait?" sarcastically. At that point, I realized that Detective Harley didn't intend to find the truth. She wanted to blame this on Alice. That day, we contacted a lawyer to initiate a lawsuit, as it was the only way we would find out the truth. The truth was that Alice was in a bike lane, she had a green light, and a KMG trash truck was stopped to her left in the travel lane. She likely assumed that he was properly yielding the right-of-way to her and proceeded into the intersection. The truck driver then turned right, likely failing to check his side mirror before turning. The truck struck Alice, and the right front tire ran over Alice and her bicycle, crushing her. The driver, Flores Fuentes, was interviewed and released. He did not take a drug test, which I've been told is a standard procedure for MPD. In addition, KMG failed to administer a drug test, which is required by the U.S. Department of Transportation. The discovery process of the lawsuit uncovered the driver's record. He had 2 citations for reckless driving and 3 at-fault accidents, all in the 5 months preceding Alice's death, as you can see from the table in the testimony. The driver's supervisor, Jose Idiaques, admitted that Flores Fuentes was a dangerous driver and should have been fired. On June 10, 2009, Flores Fuentes admitted that he had been convicted of drug trafficking, spent 27 months in a U.S. prison, and was permanently deported to Mexico. He obtained a Virginia's driver's license, commercial driver's license, using fraudulent papers, thus did not have a valid driver's license. Yet he continued to drive a 44,000-pound KMG truck on the streets of Washington for more than a year after this time, until he was arrested by ICE agents on July 23, 2010. During this time, Detective Harley did nothing to learn of his circumstances. The police report. First, let's cover what Harley's report did not say. It did not state that the driver did not submit to a required drug test. It did report that Alice, the victim, did not have drugs or alcohol in her system, but it omitted a very important piece of evidence against the driver. It did not identify the driver's previous driver offenses, and it did not report the driver's previous felony drug trafficking conviction and subsequent deportation. Harley stated, quote, "The bicyclist struck the side of the trash truck, throwing the rider from the bike into the path of the right front tire." So Alice hit the side of a huge trash truck that was moving to the right in front of her, and the impact threw her more than 6 feet directly to the right into the path of the truck. 3 expert witnesses were engaged for the lawsuit. All 3 contradicted this and agreed that Alice did not hit the truck hit her, including the expert hired by the defense. Worst of all, Harley's conclusion was it was the duty of the bicyclist to reduce her speed to avoid the collision and yield the right of way to the truck. In other words, it was Alice's fault. I can't tell you how horrible it is to lose a wonderful daughter in so senseless a way. To have the police falsely blame the victim is to be victimized twice. Last June, I sent a letter to Chief Lanier asking for an investigation into the false police report. Why did Harley conceal Flores Fuentes' evasion of a drug test? Why did she wait 2 months before interviewing any independent witnesses? Why didn't she interview Maria Muller at all, a credible eyewitness to the crash who stated, "I saw the front of the truck hit the bicycle"? Where was Harley's supervisor when she was constructing ridiculous scenarios that contradicted witness testimony and common sense? Did Harley also conceal the driver's lack of drug tests from the federal prosecutors? I have not received an answer from Chief Lanier. Nothing you or the police can do will bring Alice back to life. The only thing we can do is to try to change conditions, so no more Alice Swansons, Constant Holdens, and Natasha Pettigrews die. There are no fender benders in vehicle-human collisions. It is hard steel against human flesh. I believe the police need a unit devoted to investigating these collisions in order to counter the bias of MPD against bicyclists and pedestrians. Thank you.